So I'm here with Matty from a new band from Halifax called Cluttered, who put out a great self-titled EP a few months ago, and they're releasing a second EP on June 4th. So Matty, I just wanted to talk to you today about those releases and a few other things. On the self-titled EP, you and the band give a handful of catchy, hooky, short punk songs with these clever, cutting lyrics that detail one's mental state during the isolating and fearful times of the pandemic. Can you tell me a little bit about what this EP means to you in terms of, let's say, as a creative exercise to serve as a coping mechanism during the difficult time, or maybe as a document of that time for you?
Totally. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so I guess I can give kind of a little bit of a background on how Cluttered started, and
Yeah.
then that might make sense together. So there's this there was this project last fall, from a group based in Montreal that they started called Demo Fest. Bunch of folks were encouraged to start new projects or like write or record or do something with their time because they've been locked down. And I had spent the majority of the pandemic writing and recording as like a solo artist, so like doing acoustic songs, kind of trying to flesh those out. I did a project called Modern Cynics, which is kind of a like a marked men, like Toys That Kill style band. Like all the songs are like a minute long, and I wrote 18 of them in a month when I was
Nice.
like taking psychedelic mushrooms, and it was just so I had practice recording. And so during the pandemic, I was doing a lot of these like online live stream shows.
Mhm.
And there was one that was based in Pittsburgh, and I got to share the room or the Zoom room or whatever. It was with my pal John Creedon and this person Danny Bailey, who Danny was in a band called Jabber, or is in a band called Jabber, and is in a band called Crunch Code as well. And we kind of hit it off. Just like came from the same pop punk scene. I play in a band called Weekend Dads. Weekend Dads have been fortunate. Like we've played around a little bit, and so we just kind of like pieced those together. And so when Demo Fest came up, I was like, oh, I'd really love to collaborate with Danny.
Nice.
So I kind of like fielded that idea, while at the same time as I started writing those songs, I was speaking with Dylan Mombourquette, who's our drummer, and he and I had an Against Me cover band and a Bad Religion cover band, and had like played music together, but never really like had done an original project. And I started writing these songs, and I sent them to Dylan, and I was like, Dylan's a phenomenal drummer, and I sent them to him, and he just like crushed them, like just
Nice.
like killed. It was so good. And I was like, oh, maybe we should like keep doing this. So
Like
then I
make it,
wrote,
yeah.
exactly. So the first two songs that were written were A Thousand Cuts and Sink, 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 the
Mhm.
last two songs on the EP.
Yeah.
And then when we kind of got the ball rolling with Dylan, I got really excited and wrote Pandemic Year and Ativan Love Letter like a day
Yeah.
apart.
Which I think those two out of the four are the more directly like, this is pandemic times out of the four, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I had just when those two were written, like I had just moved, like I moved during the pandemic.
Wild.
It was really tense in Halifax right at the time, because there was there's been a lot of, as there's been everywhere, there's been a lot of like activism that's been going on, and there's been a lot of like upheaval. And
Yeah.
um literally those two songs were written like on my way out the door to go to like a rally that was like for like Mi'kmaq fishermen who were
Yeah,
being
which
like,
was a more regional specific. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. That was,
um
yeah,
so that was kind of it.
cool.
Yeah, so like the songs came pretty quick. I write relatively fast, as you mentioned, like there's a new EP coming. I've been working on a full length as well, and the full length kind of has like thematically is very much the progression of these two EPs, and you know.
Cool. So basically what you sent to, so you wrote like, you know, lyrics, guitar, let's say, and then sent a demo to your drummer, and that really fleshed it out and helped it become like the kind of full band punk songs that,
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
So I did guitar and bass and vocals, and then sent them to Dylan, and Dylan put drums on them because he's got a home recording set
Mhm.
up. And so then we had most of the song. And then when the pandemic lifted a little bit, one of my bandmates in a band called Future Girls, Becca Dalley, who also has this awesome band called Book Buddies, who
Mhm.
are so good. I was like, Becca, do you want to like play bass in this band when we play live and like sing on these songs? Because
Mhm.
it's kind of just
Yeah, you
become
can't do three. Yeah, you can't. You can do two things, but you can't do three things live. So
exactly.
yeah.
And so it kind of is like a little bit of a joke because I would always be like Becca sang on the Last Weekend Dads record and on like a solo record, and just like we're just pals. And so it was like a no-brainer to get them involved. Um, and then so when we had all of those tracks, we sent them down to Danny, and then Danny recorded her vocals and sent them back, and then we kind of mixed it all together, and it worked really well. Like I'm really proud of that first EP and like how it
You
came
should be.
together,
It's
and like
really good. It bangs. It sounds awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, for like something that was recorded in a bunch of basements, and I literally did the vocals like laying on my floor, like
That's a
just
visual. That adds to, I think that really adds to what you're saying. Like you're freaking laying on the floor. Like,
totally. It's
where's
just
the
like
finish line or whatever the line is? Yeah. What's this about a finish line? Like literally laying on the floor.
exactly.
It's too
It's
real.
like where's the end of this?
Yeah.
When does this happen? Um yeah, so that was kind of like the formation of the band, and then we were preparing for live shows before like we had gotten locked down again. We
Mhm.
were scheduled to go to play a festival in New Brunswick and called Flourish Fest, and we were going to play in Halifax. They're trying to do a new like all queer lineup of acts for a weekend called Rainbow Harbor Fest.
That's so sick.
Yeah. So I think that's getting rescheduled for some time because it was supposed to be in like 2 weeks. So I think it's getting rescheduled for down the line. But like we were
Yeah.
prepared and practiced and ready and just like ready to go. We have a second guitar player in the band as well, AJ Bootlier, who plays in Out of Controller and Designosaur
Mhm.
and Book Buddies as well. Everybody, there's a lot of overlap.
It's
Like,
very collaborative. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
yeah. I so that covers a few things I was going to ask about in terms of Demo Fest. For anyone who is listening and doesn't know what Demo Fest is, it's this Montreal-based initiative where more than 200 artists across a bunch of genres, like you explained, release new demos, and the proceeds benefited a local migrant justice network called Solidarity Across Borders, which is very cool. So you explained how the band kind of came together for Demo Fest and then stuck, I guess, which was, you know, my guess at how things went down. Are there any other Demo Fest artists that come to mind off the top of your head that you could shout out, especially in like a punk related, like punk and punk adjacent genres?
there were some really incredible demos that came out. My pal Tony in Ottawa had a project. The name is escaping me right now. I could like
Mhm.
go through my phone and find them.
Mhm.
Um, honestly, there were a couple like Montreal hardcore bands that were
Nice.
just like so sick, and
Yeah.
like, but if I'm being honest, I smoke a lot of pot, and so my memory is
Yeah.
it's just
Oh,
like
I
trying to
know.
remember band names is like I'm like
No,
shit.
it's okay. It's okay. I'm very much like a memory. Like memory is something that just came naturally to me. Like I know like half of the reason I could do well in school and subjects I don't even care about is because my brain just absorbs things, and that's
Yeah,
not even me being smart. It's just my brain doing what it does. So that's totally fair. Like, I know that I can kind of rattle things off, and
and
it's not like an everyone thing. Yeah.
and sometimes it's not, such a big deal. Usually it's when I'm introduced to a band, and then it's like when I see them play live or I play a show with them or something, that's when like
It
things
gets
really.
imprinted. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I like, out of 200 things, and it being like a, pandemic lockdown demo benefit, initiative, basically, I was like, okay, there's definitely some good stuff here, and I don't know how to even start on 200 projects. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll go through the demo fest list, and like I can like hook you up with that.
good call. Yeah, thank you very much. So with the new EP Accidents, it comes out June 4th. Any relation to the iconic Alexis on Fire song Accidents on their 2004 album, or?
No, other than just like seeing them on that tour and being like really stoked on Alexis on
Yeah,
Fire lately. No, purely coincidental.
yeah,
It's kind of, it was kind of because the band is like a happy accident a little bit.
nice. I like that. Yeah.
Like I was just like, oh, and then the songs all kind of line up with that kind of theme where it's like, oh, like how did this happen? Like how did we get here? Like
Yeah,
was this an accident?
nice. So in terms of the content of it, what can we expect in terms of it being either similar or different to the Cluttered EP?
It's a little more refined. The songs on it are still like catchy and kind of short bursts, very very anthemic. A
Nice.
lot of like that Pooza Fest kind of like put your fist in the air and sing along while you feel bad kind of
Nice.
thing. Um, there's going to be a song released from it ahead of time called "Don't Hold Your Breath,"
Hmm.
which is the first single, I guess, on a 4-song EP. I guess it's a single.
Yeah.
Um, and that song was written very, again, very quickly. It's kind of more in line of like an Ativan love letter sort of style song. Like the bass line is like, me trying to rip off Alkaline Trio or something. Like
Nice.
it's just it, we wear our influences very much on our sleeves, and like.
That's my next question. Yeah. Which, before I get to that, if you have a favorite song on the EP that's coming up, do you want to maybe shout it out and, let us know why it's your favorite? If there's one of the
Sure.
four that you love extra
Um,
much.
so I really like "Don't Hold Your Breath."
Mhm.
I think it's one of the catchiest things I've ever written, and it's kind of like, it's kind of dark. It's like a moody kind of sound. I really like a lot of like Swedish punk bands, like bands like Mass Hysteria and The Vicious and things like that. And so it kind of is like an influence, like it's like that influence on my music a little bit.
Cool.
The song I'm really stoked about is called "The Toll." The Toll has an appearance from Cassia Hardy from Wares,
Mhm.
from like from that band, doing vocals as well. So it's this like kind of dissonant pop punk song, but like with this big anthemic-y like chorus line through it with like 4 or 5 vocal parts.
Yeah, that's sick. Gang vocals are fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and somebody described it as like, oh, it's the most Weaker Than song you've ever written.
Oh
And I
my
was
God.
like, cool. Like, I'll take that. I'll take that in like a
Nice.
heartbeat.
Nice. Yeah, in terms of the influence, I did notice that you tweeted out a teaser for one of those songs. I don't think you said the name, but
That was "Don't Hold Your Breath."
don't hold your breath. Okay, so the single. So you tagged the legendary Laura Jane Grace in that tweet, like below it, you like added her. Is Against Me, like, and you even mentioned Against Me like earlier in this discussion. And when I put on the EP, I was like, okay, yeah, we're getting like, for me, I don't call it pop punk, I call it punk pop. And to
Yeah,
me, there's like a
totally.
difference. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like the Against Me punk pop. So do you like, is she a big influence for you? Like even her other projects, I freaking love the solo album from last year, and Devouring Mother's album is like, so, like, other than Trans Dysphoria Blues, that's probably my favorite thing she's done. But
Yeah, like I saw that tour. I drove to Montreal to see
the
Control
all night,
Devouring Mothers.
the Devouring, yeah, that's sick. Oh
And
man.
then I went to Toronto to see both nights of
I
the
okay. I was at the Toronto show where they did I think they did White Crosses and Trans Dysphoria Blues, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
I was sitting during that one and then standing the night before because like part of me was like, I wonder if I want to sit for the second one.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
great
yeah,
night.
like
Great night.
yeah, it was great. And then Dilly Dally opening both nights and just
So good.
destroying and being like so good.
Yeah.
And Chris Cresswell playing like a Dillinger 4 cover to nobody understanding it.
Yeah.
It was great.
In terms
Um,
sorry,
so
go ahead. Yeah.
Against Me is a huge influence,
Mhm.
like, and has been for like almost like just under 20 years now. Like, I remember like the first record I heard was Searching for a Former Clarity. And then I was just like, I was hooked and went from there. So, like, lyrically, I take a lot. The reason why Laura was tagged in that tweet was because Dylan, like our drummer, tweeted Laura Jane Grace with the first EP, and she said, "This is rad," and sent it back. And so I was just like, "What the fuck?" Like, oh my god,
Lost my fucking mind, man.
yeah. I was just like, I didn't know that you could get that much serotonin from the internet.
From a Twitter thing, like, yeah.
Yeah. And so that was really,
Congratulations.
thank you. That
Mom
was
saw you.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, mom was watching.
Oh my god.
So that was pretty wild. And so we're just like hoping that this new EP like ends up on her radar and that she likes it and listens to it. She played us on one of her Van's DJ shows as well,
Yeah.
which was just like
Incredible.
it's just like
Yeah.
like
That's for the like deathbed storytelling, you know, like, or grandkids, if you have grandkids or whatever, like, you wouldn't believe like what I did, you know?
it's totally. And it's also the kind of thing where like if you had told me at like at 17 or 18 that like my favorite artist was gonna be like, your band is rad in 10 years, then
Totally.
like it just wouldn't have believed it. But like there's a lot of other influences with that as well. I really like I mentioned it before, but like the Weaker Thans and the Lawrence Arms and Warriors, and there's a lot of really cool like bands that have existed for a long time in different capacities that I still just like fall back and listen to. And like you try to take little things from, whether it's like vocal delivery or like how to arrange songs in a lyric. Like I'm kind of learning and honing my skills with this as well, like learning what works and trying to figure it out. And we're trying to do a couple things on the full length that are a little bit different.
Cool.
But are still very much in the same vein of everything else. Because
yeah, it's still cohesive. Yeah,
exactly, like
nice.
that's really what we're shooting for, is just to have like when this is all done that we can like come play for folks and have a cohesive set and like know every song. Like that's the thing with Against, like seeing a band like Against Me, like they can change their set on the fly because they know everything. And it's like, that's what I want a band that can like show up and it's like, is 1,000 cuts in your set list tonight? And it's like, no, but we can put it in.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So Pandemic Year, the first song on that first EP, was included on this big playlist, Marginalized Voices in Music, made by Queers to the Front, a great list. Are there any queer or trans artists in the Canadian alternative scene that you are enjoying right now that you can shout out?
Wares are a great band.
Mm-hmm.
I love that band a lot. There's a local band called Shelly who are great, who I give props to for sure. Like, sick band. Um, that's kind of like, those are the people that I have experience with and like
Yeah.
and know those folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like overall, like a band like Nervous or like they're so good.
Yeah. Nice. And then one last thing. I know that as you've been mentioning, like the members of Cluttered are, it's a very collaborative thing, and they're, you know, a bunch of you are part of a few other bands. So other than, you know, June 4th, the new EP, Accidents, other than the LP that you are teasing at in the future as well, is there anything else happening with the other projects that you're all up to that you'd like to share with us?
Sure. So yeah, Cluttered Accidents comes out June 4th on Bloated Cat Records, which is a sweet label from the States. Becca and I play in another band called Future Girls. We had a record on Dirt Cult a couple years ago, and we have a new EP that's coming out on Tarantula Tapes at some point. We're just kind of getting that finalized.
Mhm.
Dylan plays in a band called All Right Already.
Mhm.
I know that they're working on new material, or have been working on an album for a while. Becca plays in Designosaur and Book Buddies as well, and I know that Book Buddies is working on a full length, and so is Designosaur. So we're all relatively staying busy.
Keep them
It's
busy,
been
yeah.
really hard this last, like, we had kind of gotten into a routine where it was like we'd have our practice once a week and everything was fine, and then we got a spike in cases,
Yeah.
and so everything is like kind of like locked back down again.
Yeah.
So it's like right now we just have like this band chat that's just going on constantly where it's
Gotcha.
just like, when can we do this again? Like, we are working on a live video where we're all going to film it
Oh, that's
individually.
fun. Yeah.
So that will hopefully come out sooner than later. It's for Flourish Fest in Fredericton, New Brunswick, who we were invited to play, and then like through no fault of anybody's, like we
Yeah.
just can't.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to submit something for that, and that'll also be like the first experience of like what this band is going to look like live, because it's going to look a little bit different live than it would on the recordings, but you know, it's pretty sick. I'm like really happy.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the group having a live debut. In the video form, you know, digitally and then also properly. I hope we see you in Ontario.
Oh,
Uh,
you will.
yeah,
It's gonna happen. The plan is to basically the moment we can to like book some stuff and come up for a visit.
hop in a van. Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Maddie, for chatting with me. I'm
Yeah,
looking
thank you.
forward to the new EP and whatever else you guys have coming on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for your time.